Right, this lesson is about solving rational equations. This is not on the first quiz of the chapter. However, in this lesson, you'll be practicing thinking or identifying the least common multiple, and that you definitely need to know for your quiz. So it's a little bit of review and a little bit of new. So to solve these rational equations, what we are going to do, it's their equations with fractions in them, we are going to clear the fractions. So the first thing we do is look at the denominators. Well, the only thing that I have in the denominator is x minus 2. And since it's the same thing in every denominator, that's what I'm going to use to clear the fraction. So I'm going to multiply each term by x minus 2. Now when I do that in the first fraction, the x minus 2's fraction cancel. In the second or the third fraction, the x minus 2's cancel. But right in the middle, I'm going to have to distribute that. So when I simplify my answer, I'm going to get 5x equals, and now I'm going to distribute and get 7x minus 2 plus 10. Now I need to solve the equation. So this gives me 5x, first things first, combine like terms, equals 7x plus 8. Then I'm going to subtract 7x from both sides. So I get negative 2x equals 8. Divide by negative 2. So x equals negative 4. Okay, number 2. I want to solve this equation, and I'm going to do it by clearing the fractions. Since there's only one thing that's in the denominator, what I'm going to clear the fractions by is that one thing, which is x minus 3. So I'm going to multiply everything times x minus 3. When I do that, the first fraction, it clears. The second part I need to multiply, and here it clears. So this gives me 6 plus, but now I need to distribute. This is going to be x squared minus 3x equals 2x. Now this first equation that was in blue, that equation is linear, and I knew it was linear because everything, the highest exponent was the invisible 1. The equation in green, that's quadratic. I know it's quadratic because the highest exponent is a 2. That's squared. And when it's quadratic, the way we solve it is first set equal to 0, 2, factor, and 3 solve. We do that only when it's quadratic, not when it's linear. Okay, so if I set it equal to 0, when I do that, I have to keep the x squared positive. I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides, leaving me with, oh, now when I rewrite it, I want to write it in standard form or descending order. So I'm going to x squared x number. So I have x squared minus 5x plus 6 equals 0. So I set it equal to 0. Now I need to factor it. It's a green light. The two numbers that multiply to positive 6 and add to negative 5 would be negative 3 and negative 2. Now I factored it. Now I need to solve it. So I'm setting these two equations equal to 0. You should not need to show your work there. You should be able to tell me that x equals 3 and 2. Okay, but here's the catch. Sometimes, not every time, when we solve, we get what's called an extraneous solution, a solution that doesn't actually work. So why would it not work? Well, the one thing we can't divide by is 0. Okay, if I plugged 3 back into the original over here and did 3 minus 3, that would give me 0, and I'd be dividing by a 0. That's a problem. If I plugged in 2 there, I get 2 minus 3, which is negative 1. That's no big deal. So 3 is extraneous. It doesn't work. Now, is that going to happen every time? No, but you got to check for it. Okay, let's look at number 3. On number 3, now this time I have two things in the denominator, so I need to come up with the least common multiple of x minus 3 and 4, which would be 4 times x minus 3. So I'm going to multiply each thing times 4 times x minus 3. Now here, watch what happens. In the first fraction, they have an x minus 3 on the top and the bottom, so all I'm left is multiplying 4 times 3, which is 12. In the next fraction, there's an x minus 3 on the top and bottom, so those cancel, and all I'm left with is multiplying 4 times x. Now on this last one, be careful, because this is a negative x, right? So the 4's cancel now, so I'm left with multiplying negative x times x minus 3. So negative x times x is negative x squared. Negative x times negative 3 is positive 3x. Okay. It's quadratic. I know it's quadratic because I have a squared. If it was just gone and it was linear, I'd get the x's on one side and the numbers on one side and solve, just like you did in Algebra 1. But this is quadratic, so I have to set it equal to 0. Remember, when you set it equal to 0, x squared has to be positive. That means I'm going to have to add x squared to both sides. Oh, you know what we should have done first? Always combine like terms first. So this is, I get 12 equals 4x and 3x is 7x minus x squared. Okay, now I'm going to move x squared to both sides. And I'm going to subtract 7x. And that's going to leave me with x squared minus 7x plus 12 equals 0. Okay, now I'm going to factor. It's a green light. My two numbers would be -3 and -4. Because they multiply to positive 12 and add to -7, so when I solve, x equals 3 and 4. But I got to check. Now, if I plug in 4, 4 minus 3 is 1. That's okay. On this last fraction, I can't plug 4 into 4. There's no variable there. So 4 works. But if I plug in 3, 3 minus 3 is 0. That's a problem. 3 is extraneous, and my answer is 4. Now, you probably know this, but the extraneous answer is not always going to be 3. So don't assume that, just a coincidence. Okay, 2 more, and then we're going to stop and continue on the next class. So to solve this, I need to clear the fractions. So I need to figure out what the least common multiple is, but I can't figure out the least common multiple if everything's not factored. So this is a green light. The two numbers that multiply to 15 and add to -8 would be -3 and -5. So my least common multiple is x minus 3, x minus 5. So when I go to factor, or not factor it, but to clear the fractions, I'm going to multiply everything times the least common multiple. Okay, but before I multiply, let's see what cancels out. Here, the x plus 5's cancel. Here, the x minus 3's. Here, all of it cancels. And the goal is to get everything to cancel out in the bottom because we're clearing the fractions. So in this first one, I'm taking 1 times x minus 3. Well, multiplying 1 times anything, that's easy. Plus, on this one, I'm taking x times x minus 5. So x times x is x squared. X times -5 is -5x. Equals. Over here, I got nothing to multiply the 2 by, so just 2. Combine like terms. So I get x squared, x and -5 is -4x, minus 3 equals 2. Set it equal to 0, factor and solve. I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. So I get x squared minus 4x minus 5 equals 0. So now when I factor, I'm going to get x, two numbers that multiply to -5 and add to 4 would be -5 and 1. So x equals 5 and -1. But I need to check to see if any of them are extraneous. If I plug in positive 5 to that first fraction, 5 minus 5 is 0. That doesn't work, so only -1 is going to work. Okay, last one. I want to clear the fractions, but to do that I need to multiply everything by the least common multiple. To determine the least common multiple, all the denominators have to be factored. So this is x plus 2, x minus 2. So my least common multiple for this one is x plus 2, x minus 2. So I'm going to multiply this, x plus 2, x minus 2, x plus 2, x minus 2, x plus 2, x minus 2. Okay, then let's start canceling. Here, x plus 2's cancel, so all I'm taking is 1 times x minus 2. That's easy, x minus 2. Plus, here, the x minus cancels. So all I'm multiplying is 1 times x plus 2. X plus 2. Over here, the x plus 2 and the x minus 2 cancel, so I just get 4. Now look at this equation compared to the last 3 we've done. The highest exponent is that invisible 1. This is no longer quadratic. You're not going to solve by factoring. This one you're going to put all the x's on one side, all the numbers on the other, and then solve. So first, combine like terms. X plus x is 2x. -2 and 2 is 0 equals 4. So I'm going to solve. I'm going to divide by 2. X is 2. Okay, but now I need to check. If I plug 2 into the first fraction, I get 2 plus 2 is 4. That's no big deal. If I plug into the second fraction, 2 minus 2 is 0. Does that work? No, it does not. So that one answer that we got was extraneous, which means that nothing works. So if nothing works, that means that there is no solution. And that happened when we learned to solve equations from the beginning, so it's very possible. We will finish the next 4 problems and do some more in our notes after the quiz next class.